Hi, so in today's demo, we're going to be creating and destroying AWS resources via Terraform through our GitLab pipeline. This is the visual representation of what we're about to do. On the right-hand side, we've got the AWS account, and on the left-hand side, we've got our GitLab repo. And as we can see here, we're gonna first create an IAM user that the GitLab runner will assume for it to be able to create the S3 bucket. And then once that's created, it's going to create a Terraform state file, which will then save to the GitLab repo itself. Now let's also look of the steps that we're about to do. Let me just enlarge this. Cool. Step 1, we'll be creating an AWS user and its API keys. Step 2, we're going to create our GitLab access token. This is required when we're going to create the Terraform state file. Number 3, we're going to create a blank GitLab project. Step 4, we're going to update the project variables with the inputs coming from step 1 and step 2. Next, we're going to prepare the CI code. And lastly, we're going to push the code to GitLab and see the GitLab pipeline run its magic. So I just signed into my AWS account. And to create an IAM user, let's head to IAM. Left-hand panel, users, create user. I'm going to name this user GitLab demo. Click next. And then I am going to attach a policy directly. I'm going to select administrator access. Next. And I'm just going to create a user. So once that's created, let's go into it and create the API keys. So it's going to be under security credentials and access keys. I'm going to create an access key. Hit CLI. Tick the understand the above recommendation. Next. And then create access. So I'm not going to close this page yet because we're going to input the access key and secret access key to the variables in the GitLab repo. Now let's go to step 2, which is to create a GitLab access token. I'm in my GitLab repo, and to create an access token, it's going to be under preferences. So select your profile, preferences, and then on the left-hand side again, you're going to see the access tokens. Add a new token. I'm going to name this token GitLab demo. And for the expiration date, I'm just going to select 1 day because this is just a demo. And I am going to select API for the scope. That should be enough. All right, that's cool. We have our token. Let's create the project. That's for step 3. So we're going to create a blank project. So I'm in my GitLab project console, new project, and create a blank project. I'm going to name this one GitLab demo. This part here should be populated in your end. And initialize with README. Yep, create a project. Now the project's created. What we're going to do is we're going to create the variables. So settings, and it's going to be under CI/CD, and then expand the variable section, add variable. The first variable that we're going to add is the demo AWS access key ID, and let's get it from the IAM console. So this is the access key, so I'm just going to copy that, paste it here, add variable. Next would be the demo AWS secret access key. And let's go and get it from the AWS IAM console again. Copy that and paste it here. Please don't copy my API keys because I'm going to delete them immediately after this demo. So we've got the AWS API keys sorted. Now let's create the GitLab access token. So I'm gonna name this just token and copy out the access token we just created. Add variable. Great. Lastly, we're gonna need a username. So the username, you can get it from, if you click your profile, username is this one. So for me, it's Antonio Rufo. Antonio Rufo. So we'll be needing this for the Terraform init because we're going to be using HTTP backend. That means we'll be storing the state file in GitLab itself. Add variable. All right, that's done. Let's go back to the project. And then let's clone this project. So if you don't have SSH configured to your GitLab, I suggest you do it because we're going to be using that. Gonna open up my terminal and I'm gonna do a git clone. Input my passphrase. Done. And then I am going to open up the repo using Visual Studio Code. You can choose your favorite IDE. First, let's create the Terraform folder. This is where we'll put the Terraform files. Next, under the Terraform folder, we're going to create a file called main.tf. So the main.tf is where we'll put the Terraform codes to create the AWS resources that we want to create. Since this is just a demo, I'm just going to create an S3 bucket. Next, let's create an outputs file, just in case you want to use the attributes for that S3 bucket. Let's paste the code here. So in this outputs.tf, we'll be outputting, is that even a word? We're going to be outputting the state bucket ID and the bucket region. This is so that we can use this in other Terraform files. Next, let's create the provider.tf. In the provider.tf, we're going to be declaring the AWS provider and the region. So I am in Australia, and the closest region for me would be AP Southeast 2, which is in Sydney. And then here as well in line 9, we'll be declaring the HTTP backend. So once that's done, let's create the Gitlab CI file, which will be in the root directory. So let's create a new file and then .gitlab.ci.yaml. Now let's put in the variables. So we'll be needing the AWS key ID, secret access key. This is the variables that we just set up earlier. We'll also be declaring the default region, which is Sydney for me. TF directory, and the address, we'll be needing that for the Terraform init, and then the state name. This is the name of the state file. Next, let's put in the image that we'll be using. So we'll be using the Terraform image from HashiCorp. Next would be the stages that the pipeline will create. And we have 4 stages: validate, plan, apply, and destroy. Next would be the before script. So the before script block are the commands that you'd like to execute before the jobs. So in here is the perfect place to put in the Terraform init, and you'll have to declare the access token and the username so that it will successfully do a Terraform init. Now let's go and create those jobs. So the first job is validate. Very straightforward. What this does is just do a Terraform validate. So what is Terraform validate? It just validates that the Terraform configuration is valid. The next job would be plan, which is under the plan stage, which executes Terraform plan. So this just outputs an execution plan for us to review. Then we'll have the apply job under the apply stage, and it will execute Terraform apply. So this is the command that actually executes the creation of the S3 bucket. And if you see here, it's a manual action. As for the last job, we're going to be creating a job to destroy those AWS resources. So it's a destroy. So it's a destroy job under destroy stage, and the script will be Terraform destroy. And same as apply job, it's going to be a manual action. Let's save that. And for the last step, we're going to be pushing this code to our GitLab repo, and it should automatically create a pipeline. So I'm back in my terminal. Let's go to GitLab demo. Let's do a git status first, and then we're going to add the files that we just created. Let's do a commit. I'm gonna do an initial commit as a message, and then let's do a git push. Let's input the passphrase. Awesome. Now let's go back to our GitLab and see if it indeed created a pipeline. Yep, it's running. Let's go to build and then pipelines. All right, so it's running, which is a good sign. Let's check the logs. Job succeeded, so that's a good sign. Let's go to the next job, which is the plan. And let's see the logs again. Okay, so it created an execution plan. And under the execution plan, this is what we want to see. So it's going to create the S3 bucket that we want. Now let's go back to the pipeline. You see it skipped over apply and destroy. So if we want to execute apply, we just hit this. Let's check out the logs. So we've got a job succeeded. So that means it created the S3 bucket. Now to double check, let's head to the AWS account again. Let's go to S3. Yep, there it is. That's great. Okay, now let's do a destroy. So let's go back to pipelines and let's destroy that S3 bucket. Again, this is a manual action. So if I want to destroy, I'm just going to hit run. And let's check the logs. Okay, so the job just finished and destroy is complete. And now, to double check, I'm just going to refresh this AWS S3 console. Boom. Nada. All right. Thank you very much. Until next time.